what you do. Have you witnessed inequality in the work you do? If yes, please give examples.
I work in the Red Door project, which is an addiction service in Drogheda, and so we work with people in all levels of addiction. So you could be in chaotic drug use and want to stay where you are, you're happy enough there for now, and then we've got people who are in recovery and who are, you know, well in recovery. So there's a lot of examples of inequality in the work I do, and even down to if somebody doesn't have a proper address, or we can't get someone's social welfare, or we can't open a bank account. The littlest things that we take for granted causes massive problems if you can't have those things or get those things. So you can't get a GP, you can't get a dentist. Even if you can get a dentist, and even if you have got a medical card, people don't want to take medical cards. There's so many inequalities, there's so many things that make life much more difficult for people.
How do you overcome issues of inequality in your work?
Well, first of all, in our work, we would take a completely non-judgmental approach to anybody. Anybody is welcome in our building, and they are treated with respect regardless of how they're feeling or how they're treating us at times. And we have to understand that people who are being mistreated or who are feeling very vulnerable oftentimes present in a very particular way. They might present angry, or they might present very withdrawn, or they might, present in a way to a service that it mightn't typically endear you to working with the person. It might be hard to work with that person, but you respect that person and you meet them where they're at.
What changes would you like to see in addiction services?
So I think, the very first thing is go back to basics. We need to start talking, we need to start asking young people and all of our service users what they want, what they actually want to see, and then trying to put it into place. Easier said than done, because there's a very entrenched way of working in a lot of the areas we all work in. But I think slowly but surely things can change if we have a good line of communication. So we need to sort of revisit all of that. So that's what I think really needs to happen.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Hi Peter, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Hey, my name is Peter Mulligan and I am Senior Youth Worker with Youth Worker in Meath.
Have you witnessed inequality in the work you do?
I don't think youth work exists if there's not inequality. Young people are always fighting for that little bit of society that's been left out for them, and they're always looking for having their voice heard. They always want to be communicated to, and they want to be asked what they need, and that doesn't happen enough. So inequality does happen for young people, yeah.
What difficulties could a young person from the LGBTQ plus community face on a daily basis?
Ireland is lucky enough that we're very progressive with LGBTQ rights, but young people are in a unique place where they go to school most of the time, and LGBT young people in schools are young people that really suffer. So if we think of things like sex education, young LGBT people don't receive proper sex education in schools. In some cases they're asked to wear uniforms that might match their identified gender, and they'd have to wear those uniforms all day, every day in school and feel totally uncomfortable, which means that in those cases those young people are seeing inequality in their face right there in front of them, going, you're not the same as us, you don't deserve it.
What would you like to see happening to make life better for these young people?
I think having their voices heard first of all will be a massive step. So if they're asked about school uniforms, if they're asked about sex education, if they're asked about the things that are going on for them on a daily basis, I think that's a start. But it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that we need to involve young people in the conversation about from the start all the way through.
Do you think people should respect other people with non-binary pronouns?
I think creating an understanding is where we need to stand on that. For young non-binary people, it is that idea that it's not a choice for them. They are who they are. And if having the correct pronouns or the correct names being used for them makes that a little bit easier, then how can we stop that? How can we say no to that? It's only 2 words, they and them. That's not that hard to use them. We use them every day. So why would we stop?
Thanks so much for joining us today, Peter.
Hi Shauna, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
My name is Shauna Ennis. I'm the captain of the Meath Senior Ladies Football team, and we won the Senior All-Ireland Championship last September.
What barriers do women face in sports?
There's a few barriers that women tend to face in sports. The first one will be probably the access. So is there, I'm talking from a GA point of view, is there a ladies team in that club? Are the ladies team allowed to train on the main pitch? Are they always given first preference, second preference on training days, training times, stuff like that? Another thing would definitely be funding and sponsorship. So men's sport obviously at the moment gains a lot more media attention, so therefore they get a lot more sponsorship than we do. However, Lidl and TG have been really good to ladies football the last few years, and we are getting a lot more sponsorship from those. And I suppose the other thing then will be the media coverage. So how much that women's sport is covered in the media in comparison to men's sport. Like if you look at the Sunday paper, for example, you'll get pages and pages on men's sport, and you might get like 1 page on ladies sports. I suppose those are 3 things, yeah.
How do stereotypes affect women athletes?
I think probably the main thing about stereotypes and women in sport is this idea that sport is not feminine and, you know, women shouldn't be doing it. I think that's definitely been turned on its head a lot the last few years, but I think the main impact that has is a lot of girls, especially teenagers, dropping out of sport. And I think there's a lot of great work being done, but we need to continue to do that work. Even Anna Geary's programme that was on RTE about like girls in sport and stuff, like that's drawn a lot of attention to it, so that's really good.
What would you like to see happening for women in sport to make it better?
Getting expenses for travelling and stuff like that, we don't get that, and the men do, so that would be really helpful. And then, as I said, like we need more media coverage, because the more media coverage we get, the more people we get going to our games, and therefore the more sponsorship we get, so it's all a knock-on effect. So yeah, as I said, things are definitely improving, but we still have a bit of a way to go.
Thank you for your time today.
Hi Orla, could you just tell us who you are and what you do?
My name is Orla, and I am a community support worker working with adults in community residential settings with intellectual disabilities.
What difficulties would someone with a disability face in their daily life?
So the gentlemen that I support aren't able to live independently. So that's the first difficulty they face, because they need 24-hour support. They need help with managing their finances, their medication management, their day-to-day living, so like being able to have a shower, they need support with that. They can't drive, so they need support with getting around and doing the things they like to do. And they just in general need support with the day-to-day running of a household that a lot of us take for granted.
What would you like to see happening to make their life better?
I suppose from a young age, teaching them the skills to live independently, like money management, being able to go into a shop and purchase something for themselves, being able to attend to their own personal care needs, being taught how to do it instead of just the old-fashioned way was just to do it for them. So that's what I'd like to see changing, is that, you know, to really have them as part of the community, living in their local communities.
How would you overcome issues of inequality in your work?
I suppose by advocating and, you know, giving the people I support a voice. So if I see something and I think it's not right, or I think it's not fair, by saying it and not just letting it go because that person can't tell me it annoyed them. It's important to advocate for them. And, you know, sometimes you'll be out in public and, you know, people take for granted that, you know, somebody can't read a menu in a restaurant, so that they're not handed a menu or they're not given the opportunity to you know, show what they want.
That's all the questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.